What's up YouTube, it's Tiptic, and today I'll be bringing you a battle that makes me want to stab pregnant women repeatedly. Okay, that's an exaggeration, I'm pretty much over it by now, but at the time I was seriously super salty. Please take note of the alliteration on S as it mimics the sound of flowing urine, because I was pretty pissed off when this battle was taking place. But without further ado, let's jump right on into this. Alright, Dopey is issuing a challenge. Go Power Thirst, Standard Lead, Aegis, minus the Slosh. This, what do you call this? Armaldo, I think. Get a Will-O-Wisp, and right off the bat, miss my Will-O-Wisp. Which is kind of unfortunate, but that's okay. I can just go for another one, lower this guy's attack stat. He's not going to be doing anything else in this battle now that his rocks are up. He knocks off my leftovers, and that's kind of unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. I'm gonna throw up a light screen in case he wants to switch in something. Now that he's burned, he can't do any damage to me. And he hits me with a Stone Edge, and that does about 20%. No worries. And now I'm gonna Volt Switch here. In comes the Spiritomb. I don't really know what the Spiritomb wants to do. Spiritomb used to sort of have a name for himself because he was the Pokemon that had no weaknesses, but of course in Gen 6 he's now weak to Fairy type, so that's exactly what I'm going to send in. Good old Sexion. And he knows the power of Sylveon. He does not want to take this Hyper Voice. He was going to actually switch out into his Scizor, which is going to put some pressure on me. Hyper Voice not going to do that much damage. Still a decent chunk considering that it's resisted. But then I'm going to switch into my Landorus to lower his attack stat in case he wanted to Swords Dance or something like that. And he goes for the X-Scissor, which tells me that since he doesn't have Bug Buzz, he's probably Kalos born. So I don't have to worry about him defogging away my rocks or any of that shenanigans. Don't have to worry about knockoff. It's probably just Choice Banded Scizor. In comes this thing again. And I'm just going to choose to set up my Stealth Rocks. And I can't really hurt it that much. He's part Bug type, I believe, so Earthquake won't do a whole lot of damage. But got nothing to lose by staying in. It's going to be a 2-hit KO. I guess I got my leftovers to lose, so that kind of sucks. But I'm going to take care of this thing once and for all with another Earthquake. Taking a little bit of a lead here, and in comes Porygon 2. And I already know from my days playing UU what Porygon 2 has in store for me, and I do not want this Ice Beam at all. So I'm going to U-turn up out, and it's going to do next to no damage because he was bulky as hell with the Eviolite. And in comes my Conkeldurr, which has nothing to worry about from this Porygon, because even if he like thunder or paralyzes me with his discharge, at least I get the Gust boost. But surprise, surprise, he gets the freeze on my switch in, which now makes this match a lot harder for me to deal with, because suddenly I've got no way to take out this Porygon. I decide to leave it in for another turn, hoping that I can get this 20% chance to thaw out, but it doesn't work out for me. And then I figure once he sees he's not doing any damage, he'll want to switch out, and I don't want him to have the initiative, so I will also switch into my Ferrothorn. And while I normally can wall this thing pretty well, I can't really offer a lot. I can't put a lot of pressure on him basically, and I don't want him to just have free turns to Swords Dance. So I'm going to go into Landorus, and get that Intimidate off, putting him only at +1 after the Swords Dance. Yep, there goes the dance. And then he's going to Sucker Punch. I thought actually, since I'm physically defensive, that I might be able to live this Sucker Punch and fire off an Earthquake, but that's not what happened. It turns out that Mawile is pretty much a beast. His attack becomes like 200 or something, massively high after that huge power. And here comes a really cool play on my opponent's part. He switches in Porygon to trace the Flash Fire, and then is immune to my Fire Blast. I never thought of using Porygon 2 as a Heatran counter, but apparently it works pretty well. Even if I chose to go for any other move, like Earth Power or something, I wouldn't be doing any kind of damage to this thing. So I'll keep that in mind if I ever need a niche Heatran counter. Although, it's not like Porygon has much firepower against Heatran. You can just sort of come in and sit here and wall. So now I'm going to get up my light screen and then Volt Switch on out of here. Into my Ferrothorn, because I know I can pretty much take any of his moves with ease, especially after the light screen. He can do no damage to this Pokemon, and I can just outstall him with Leech Seed. But that's pretty obvious, and so he's going to switch out to his Zapdos. And I was really afraid that he might be packing the Heat Wave, because that's a pretty common move on Zapdos. So I thought that I might want to switch into my Conkeldurr, because the Heat Wave would obviously thaw me out. But I'm already at fairly low HP, and I think that even though I'm Assault Vested, a Heat Wave followed by a Thunderbolt would probably knock me out. So I decide instead to just go for a Sylveon into a safe switch, because I've got Titanic Special Bulk. And you're going to see this Thunderbolt is doing nothing to me at all. I'm going to heal up more with the Leech Seed that I'm going to take from the Thunderbolt, which is really nice. And I thought, since he saw that he was doing nothing to me, he might want to switch back into his Mawile, which is why I made a risky play for the Hidden Power Ground. But that's not... he just stayed in and went for another Thunderbolt, which is fine with me. So now I'm pretty sure he's going to stay in, so I just go for the knockout with Hyper Voice. But he paralyzes me off that 10% chance of Thunderbolt, which really sucks. Because now when he brings out his Mawile, I won't be able to outspeed it and hit it with the Hidden Power. He can just go for like a play rough and kill me, which is really unfortunate. So I'm going to send in Heatran to try and deal. And that's going to be an easy 2-hit KO for him. So I go back into Ferrothorn, because now this is looking like my only way to deal with this Pokemon. He's going to Swords Dance, of course, but I'm going to get off a Leech Seed and be able to stall him for just a minute. I imagine a Leech Seed in real life would be a really terrifying move, with like the seeds getting under your skin and growing out of your body. That would just be... oh my god, that'd be so terrifying. Not a good way to die at all. I'm going to Protect to try and stall out Leech Seed, but he's going to predict that and go for a second Swords Dance, which is going to make this Mawile extremely powerful. He goes for the payback, which fortunately enough, he's faster than Ferrothorn, so it does not get the double damage, meaning I'm allowed to live his hit. And they go for a Power Whip, which isn't going to do much, but it's going to drain his health a little bit more. Make the Leech Seed kill him just a turn or two sooner. This Protect is pretty obvious, but it's pretty much the best move I can make. Goes for the Sucker Punch, and now I know that I'm going to set up a Spike here, because if he wants to Sucker Punch again, then it'll fail and he'll just die to Leech Seed. And even if he... yeah. I just have no reason to go for the Power Whip, basically. Because since he did try to attack me, he just died to the Iron Barbs anyway. And this is the only thing I can do to capitalize on this turn. So I'm going to get back up to yellow health. I'm guessing that is Porygon 2, which I'm not terribly worried about, except for the fact that I'm at really low HP. I'm pretty sure he's not carrying Flamethrower, because that's not a common move on Porygon. Gonna Protect to get a little bit of health. Even though he recovered, that's fine. I know I can just throw a Leech Seed at him and recover more per turn than he can do to me with Ice Beams, essentially. But here's where the magic happens. He gets a critical hit, which I actually calced this out. And not only did he get a critical hit, he also got a max damage roll on a critical hit. If it was like any lower, literally any lower roll off that crit, and I would have been able to survive and get up Leech Seeds, which is pretty unfortunate. I do finally thaw out with Conkeldurr, but it's just a turn too late. If I thought out last turn, I could have Drain Punched and got some health back, done a massive amount of damage, and maybe got back in the fight, but it did not work out for me that way. So I'm in a pretty big bind now into my Power Thirst, and fortunately I do get a critical hit on this Hydro Pump, which isn't going to matter too much because I basically lost the mesh right here anyway. I already decided that I pretty much lost, but I did not want to give up because that's no fun. Tri-Attack happens. I'm going to be able to survive with just a sliver of health and KO with a Hyper Voice. Another critical hit, but too late in the game for me to be able to come back off of. In comes Scizor. He can easily just Bullet Punch me and win, but he's instead going to go for the X Scizor. Like a cool kid. And so that's the match. I definitely had a lot of bad luck. I'm not going to say that's the only reason I lost, because I made some bad plays, definitely, but it would have at least been a lot closer of a match if that Conkeldurr didn't get frozen, because I would have been able to take out his Porygon, or at least been able to force it out and force things that take hits. So that's that. Good game. I hope we can fight again sometime, because I'm pretty sure I can do better than that. So here's the part where I self-promote like a bitch. So if you like this video, please leave a like and comment down below. I'm just getting started. Anything you want to do would help me out a lot. And I'm always looking for strong opponents, so don't be afraid to leave your friend code and ask for a fight. And that's all I got. See you later, guys.